There is no better way to tell, how I feel at the time, other than, to continue to ask God for grace and for His help, in the circumstance, because the injustice done to my little baby, is not something that can be forgotten, in a short time. It's something that will live with me for a long time to come. 2019, or if I would say 2020, was supposed to be 12 years of our marriage. Probably December 6th would have been our marriage anniversary. But for the separation, I think by 2019, in which the separation took place, that would be 11 years. But basically, my marriage was good. We, as long as we were together, just like, how every marriage has its ups and downs and all of that,
Yes.
we kept going, praying and trusting God for grace. And God was faithful, until what happened, basically. Basically, I think from the time I introduced her to Apostle Johnson Suleman, who I had met, I think barely a few months, before then, weakness is different from wickedness.
Yes.
Are you hear what I'm saying? Apostle
Yes.
Suleman's situation is not a function of weakness; it's a function of wickedness. Because I'm not the first person he has done this to. There are so many victims out there who probably cannot speak up for reasons of fear, of his, position and influence and connections and all of that. But I have made up my mind that this is my story, this is my truth. Whatever it will take me, I will fight for my children, I will fight for my home. So basically, my wife, at some point, would mention to me of his invitations of her, to certain places, come and stay with me, can you come to Benin, so locations and all of that. Basically, I never really, I had this Catholic charismatic renewal background. Back
Yes.
in the days, they were more like the deeper life. Very spiritual and straight to the point. So that was the kind of background I had. So it's even on Christianly for you to even imagine that for somebody you refer to or you esteem and dear as a spiritual leader to even, would want to contemplate having something to do with somebody who is a daughter, let alone, your son's daughter or fiancé, as it were. So I would basically just overlook it and say, maybe Papa is lonely and all of that. He probably just needs company because of his frequent travels and all of that. Just feel free, But after some point, she began to mention to me, of his interest in her, and all of that. And I said, well, at this point, it appears that you may really have to be careful, about your closeness and all of that. But she was basically like, there is really nothing like that she would she have everything under control. From one point to the other, after some point, she was no longer opening up to me, for probably for fear that, okay, maybe I was beginning to process the whole thing and it was probably beginning to affect my mood and all of that, until we eventually got married. All of this was even before we got married in 2008, December 6th. Then after we got married, because I started out pastoring in Warri, Delta State here in Nigeria, I was posted from there to Benin, branch 2, Urubi, specific. That was where I was pastoring. You had branch 1. Branch 1 was being headed by Pastor Temidayo then. That one has also left the ministry because of things like this and all of that. That one has left. So then eventually I was, after some time, I was posted from there to Osun State. Then it was in Osun State. I was posted to Osun State 2010. All right. So that was when, about the time Celebration TV, starting and all of that, Rema for Living, where the plans were underway, basically, and all of that. So for reasons of, the fact that my wife was, a part-time staff with NTA Europe, you can Google it. It's there on YouTube, the NTA Europe. You have NTA Benin, and they extended the stations to some of these villages around and all of that, and they had their offices there. So that was where she was working as one of the broadcasters.
Yeah.
So Suleman now felt that, okay, that should be instrumental to the development of Celebration TV and all of that. He asked her to resign, which she did, and all of that. So as of 2009, we had our first daughter, whose name is Michelle. God blessed us with that girl exactly November 24th, 2009. So then into 2010, when we're in Osun State now, we had just moved to Osun State, barely about 6 months thereabout, to 7 months, when she will have to travel back and forth to Auchi, even to Lagos, doing meetings with Apostle Suleman and team and all of that. I basically felt neutral about it, considering the fact that she had a baby and all of that. So when she came back on one of the days, that was when she told me that she really needed to talk to me, about something that had happened. So I was like, go ahead. And she said, this is what happened, that Apostle Suleman lodged. Everybody who are hearing me from around the world, or who probably have been to Auchi, Edo State, they know Uyi Grand. Uyi Grand is a popular hotel in Auchi, Edo State. As a matter of fact, that's one of the hotels that hosts, some of the guests that come from Asad Auchi and all of that. So that was where he would basically lodge some of his guests, and what you have. So that was where she was lodged. So she told me 2 days later, because her conscience was really pricking her, that this is what happened. And that when she told me, I died as a man from that time. That Apostle Suleman came to her room, and had carnal knowledge of her, slept with her. So I was basically like, where was my daughter? That was the first question I asked. I said, where was Michelle? She said Michelle was on the bed, pushed aside. That's one thing I'm not very sure how much I can live with it. So I died as a man from that moment. My pain was, it's not something to even imagine, it's not something to consider. Irrespective of what she says on social media, irrespective of how they try to manipulate it, I know what I'm saying with all authority. This was what my wife told me.
This is how I see life. This is how I think we should see life. Sometimes, so many times, the people we help, the people we support, the people that cross our path, and we are a blessing to them, most often than not turn out to become the thorns in our flesh, to become the objects of regret. We think about all we've done for them, and we feel pain. And you ask yourself, am I going to stop doing good? No. There are lots of things life should teach you. Every painful experience should not be a regret. It should be a lesson that helps you convert your pain into power. When you help people and they turn back and stab you, you feel offended, you feel sad. Let me give you a few counsel. Number one, don't help people at the expense of your own life. While helping people, whether members of family, whether friends, remember you have a life to live. Don't help them at your own detriment. Don't pay their bills while your bills are left unpaid. You can only be a major assistance, not a total and sole owner of someone's life. When you help people and they stab you, 3 things are opened to you. God opens your eyes to see 3 things. Number one, it reveals who people are. It makes you know that people are not what you think or how they seem. People don't change. It's only their mask that falls off. Number 2, it reveals who you are. Are you going to allow them win by changing you to becoming somebody you are not, from being good to being bad? Number 3, it reveals who God is. God knows how to pay you back for every good you've done. It's not the place you sow the seed of help and support that you get it back from. Don't give up. No matter how long it takes, you will get harvest from your investment. This is how I see life.